Good luck.
Hey, this is Snake, currently on a mission in the nuclear disposal facility on Shadow Moses Island. Brando's been asking me to be on the show for a while now, but being me can be a little busy. I guess calling in via codec will have to do. I have a little time on my hands while I hide from a few enemies, so I thought I'd tell you about some of Brando's old pickup videos. He sent me the links a long time ago, and what a better way to kill some time than to check some of them out now. So, January 2015 is up first. Let's check it out.
What's up guys, Brando here again, going through my January pickups. I got about 30 games here to go through, so we're going to try and get through it as quick as we can to keep the number on this video down so we don't kind of get too long-winded. So let's just get right down to it. Okay, so we're going to start off first with my lone PC pickup. I don't really collect PC games or anything like that, but I saw this at my local Goodwill, and I like to go to Goodwills, you know, every now and again, get some pretty cool stuff in there. And I found Duke Nukem 3D for like $2, and I remember playing this way back when it came out on like a buddy's computer or something. And I'm not really big into first-person shooters, but you gotta love Duke, and I definitely do. And for $2, who can say no to the Duke, right? And I got a nice stack of PS1 games, bringing up my total PS1 games now to 99, I do believe. Some of these, I used to own one of these here, and some of the other ones I have played, but I never did play this one, Star Wars Demolition. It's from the makers of, what was it, Vigilante 8, those kind of like those games that were kind of like Twisted Metal. And, but I definitely remember this and seeing ads, like in GamePro or whatever, but never ended up picking it up. I played it, and it's definitely different. But it's like one of those games that I kind of want to get to play with other people to try and figure it out together and have a good time with it. This one I did actually used to own. I don't know what happened to it, but it's Soviet Strike. And I remember loving this game when I was a kid. Going back to it, it doesn't really hold up as well, especially all those kind of like real-time videos. They did a lot of that in the early days of the PlayStation, where they would actually film like with real actors. And I remember seeing one of those actors in like some Nickelodeon show, so you know, so they weren't actually like real big time actors or anything like that. So obviously it wasn't that great. But you know, I did get the Greatest Hits version. I really have stopped caring whether I get Greatest Hits or Black Label. I used to have it with Black Label, but you know, good game. I believe they made a sequel, Nuclear Strike or something like that. I think I was on a 64 as well. But yeah, not bad. And when all these games, all the following PS1 games, I got for really cheap. Definitely had to pick this one up, especially for like a couple bucks. GTA 2. And these old style GTAs, of course, have like that top-down God view, you know what I mean? So they're definitely kind of difficult to play, but I was very surprised kind of going into it when I was trying it out that it wasn't really that difficult as I remember it being. So I was able, the only thing I didn't like is I wasn't really able to tell exactly where I was going. You know, they had like this little like things, little like arrows that tell you, you know, if you go over here, maybe you'll get to this job. If you go in this direction, you'll get to that one. But that's the one like downside to being like kind of a top down, is that you don't really know what's in front of you. But definitely cool to pick this up. I'm gonna have to pick up the other two, I believe that there are. There's one, and then I think there's one in London. This is a game that I remember seeing a lot of. Especially like in magazines and ads and everything when I was a kid, but I never played it. It's called One, and I definitely remember seeing videos of this when I first started collecting, and I just remember the name, and it kind of had that like that barcode. Nowadays, that kind of makes me think of like Hitman. Oh yeah, they have you like running down like this corridor, and everything's like destroying all around you, and you're getting shot at and whatnot. Definitely remember seeing this like at a Hollywood Video or something when I went to go rent early PS1 games. This one, I actually have the first three, so I saw it, and it wasn't actually going to be on my radar because I remember playing it and wasn't too impressed with it when I was a kid, because I absolutely loved the third one. It's Need for Speed High Stakes, but I saw it for like a couple bucks, picked it up. The one thing that I have to say about this is that when I think of old school Need for Speed games, I want to jump in and I want to go and I want to play. This one, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that. It's like you have to like start and like earning your cars, which I know that's like the norm for now, but come on, man, this is arcade, man. I just want to get in and go. So I don't know if there's another way, if there's cheat codes to get around that, or what, I don't know, but I kind of wish that it was a little bit more accessible for just putting in and just kind of going. These next two games are definitely accessible though. Cool Borders 2 and 4, which are totally random pickups here. These were like $1 a piece. I definitely remember these games. These games were awesome. I'm gonna have to pick up 1 and 3 because having 2 and 4 is just kind of weird on the shelf. I got another Star Wars game. Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. Now, I heard a little bit about this and heard that this was actually a pretty decent game. Playing it, maybe it was just the fact that it's my first impressions. I wasn't too impressed with it. It was sort of generic. Maybe it's better with multiplayer. I'll have to try that out when when Rob comes over or something. Moving on to some more PlayStation stuff. I got kind of a decent stack of Vita games here from a coworker, and I got Uncharted Golden Abyss. Now, I got this when it was free on the Vita. It might still be free. I don't know if they're still doing that instant game collection thing or not. But when I got my Vita, I got Plus and got this right away because I love the Uncharted games, and this is amazing on the Vita. A couple more here. I got a game called Freedom Wars, which I do remember trying this out. I do remember it was like very heavily Japanese. It's like all the voices were in Japanese, and I didn't see anywhere where you can change it. It's very heavily stylized, and I think I probably spent like 15 minutes in the creative character, so I really didn't get too far into it as far as the actual gameplay goes. You see, it does seem like a pretty interesting game to kind of dive into, and I'm really looking forward to getting into that. I got the Sly Cooper collection, all 3 games. The interesting point is, and I think Final Fantasy HD collection was like this as well, only 2 of the games are actually on the little card here, and the third one is a download code, which is very interesting. I'm not sure how much I like that. The thing is that when I bought this from the coworker, the third game has not been redeemed, so I'm getting it basically brand new code there. But I do get all 3 games for it. And I know that Final Fantasy X is a physical, and it's on the card, and X-2 is also a download. These next 2, she bought them used, so they were like in their little kind of GameStop generic black cases. But I did print labels for them. They're not the best looking, but when you just kind of look at them on the shelf like that or anything like that, they look decent enough, and you can tell what games they are. I would like to get actual like blue cases, which you can order on eBay or whatever for them. But these are Killzone Mercenary and Soul Sacrifice, both really great games for the Vita. For Killzone, I was very surprised just to see how well it worked and how well it played for a first-person shooter. And for Soul Sacrifice, this one I believe was also free, but I never did get a chance to play it. So I was really happy to see that when she was offering kind of a bundle, that Soul Sacrifice was indeed in there. Moving on with other PlayStation kind of hits here, I'll start with this one. This one I do remember renting and playing. It's a kind of a polarizing series. Some people like some entries, some people don't. And they did revamp it just a few years ago, but that's the original Devil May Cry. And again, I think I got this when I got the PS1 stuff, and it was pretty much like $2 or something like that. Couldn't say no to that. I'm trying to build a collection, and the Devil May Cry games are games you just have to have for the PS2. And this one is also another one I feel like you must own, because I actually own the sequel, or the spiritual sequel, if you will, but it's the Mark of Cree. And this game, just like the sequel, I never did play it before I ended up buying it, but I heard a lot about it. And I definitely liked the intriguing gameplay elements in this. I really liked how they mapped the buttons for the combat system, and I'm really looking forward to diving into that. And I got Onimusha 2, which is cool because it kind of completes my trilogy. I want to say there might be one more, but I'm not for certain. I really do dig this series a lot, and I'm really looking forward to like just sitting down and playing all 3 of them all the way through. I've gotten some decent time into the first one, but I've been bouncing back and forth between so many games that I just haven't had a time to really beat it or anything like that. This next one I got this off the recommendation of Metal Jesus Rocks right here on YouTube, and that is Okage Shadow King, which is kind of funny because I'm saying it like that because that's the way he said it, or that's the way I've heard other people say it. But the guy at the game store, he's like Okage. I'm not sure if you'd ever heard of it, but this is very interesting. It's like an RPG, and it is exclusive to the PS2. It's one of those bluebacks, like those little compact discs that they were still using for some of these games. And this game had me laughing. It really did. I really liked how it was presented in a very serious manner, but the threat really wasn't that serious. And your main character ends up binding his shadow with Stan, this little Shadow King guy, and his sister is cursed with a Pig Latin curse that another ghost put on her, and she could speak only in Pig Latin, and that was just cracking me up. And the dad is freaking out, and the grandfather was trying to this isn't as bad as it's supposed to be. He's not freaking out, but it was really cool, and something that when I was testing it out, I did not want to put it down. The last of my PlayStation pickups, nothing really special, but I did not own one. I lost mine. That's an original DualShock, and now I've been wanting to get one of these because I kind of want to do like a PlayStation collection video where I showcase my entire PlayStation collection and my systems, and I've showed you some of these games, but I really would just want to go through like my entire collection, tell you what some of my favorites are, and I feel like this is a must-have if you have a PS1. You gotta have a DualShock. I would like to get an analog. They had like a dual analog right before they released those. Let's go with the NES games I got. And I'm just gonna go through these real quick. Metroid. I mean, come on. The original Metroid. Gotta have that in your NES collection. It's pretty good, but I would have to say that like going back to it now, especially when you have like Metroid, Super Metroid or Metroid Fusion, this one definitely suffers a little bit. But it's still pretty good to go back to. And of course, I'm a huge RPG nut. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I had to get the original Final Fantasy. Although I already have it on PS1, I had to get the original cart just for collector's sake. Pretty neat. Let's go with I got this from a buddy, Matt. He's been on the podcast before, and this is the Grand Theft Auto trilogy on the Xbox. I actually have it on PS2, but he had this for Xbox and made a little bit of a trade for it. So definitely, I have these, and it has all of the manuals and maps and everything still in there, ready to go. It even still has the little Xbox sticker certificate thing down there. So I'm going to move on to the 360 here, and I ended up getting Duke Nukem 3D, but I also got Duke Nukem Forever. These games were in the pretty much cheap as you could get bin at GameStop, and I was walking by it, and I spent $12 for like all of these. Duke Nukem Forever. I remember when this came out. This game was in development hell for like a long time, and when this came out, people were kind of disappointed. They were expecting like a big blow away first-person shooter. It's a Duke game. If you like Duke Nukem, you'll like this. And I guess people were just expecting a little too much from it, but I played it and I liked it. Really good game. This one was a game that I've been wanting to check out for a while from Capcom, Lost Planet. It's this game where you're like in this mech and you're going around, and it's kind of like a third-person shooter, but it doesn't really quite have all the mechanics yet. It's still kind of stiff. It feels very, I don't want to say action RPG-ish. It kind of is a little bit. I don't know. It's not quite exactly what you're thinking when you're thinking of a fluid third-person shooter, mech game at least. But it's very interesting, and I kind of want to see where it goes. There are some other ones out there, so I'll have to pick those up. This one is definitely a must-have for the 360. Fable 2. I got the first Fable on the original Xbox. I don't have Fable 3, not yet, but come on. It's one of those games where if you're collecting and then you look at it and they'll say, well, where's Fable? Where's Fable 2? Well, I don't have it yet. Well, why not? And for like a couple bucks, it's like, why not, right? I need to have it. This next one is from the makers of Hitman. Our good friends here at IO Interactive. Kane Lynch, Deadman. Interesting game here. They it kind of feels similar to Hitman, a little bit different though, and it has kind of an interesting start to it. Pretty cool narrative. Looking forward to diving into this and getting through this. There was a second one which I heard was really short. Maybe I'll have to get that just to complete these. Now for these last few, for the Wii, I picked up Manhunt 2, which I love the first Manhunt, and I remember borrowing this from my good co-host here at Journey into Comics podcast, Nate. He let me borrow this, and he let me borrow the little, like, it had a special Wiimote strap that kind of looked like a hospital wristband that you get when you go there. And he let me borrow that as well. And I'll be honest with you, at the time I just could not get into it. I kind of felt like it was a little too edited. They edited a lot, like some of the harsher kills and everything. But now, many years later, kind of coming back to it, I had to pick it up, and when I've seen it for the PS2, but I really wanted to get it for the Wii, simply because it was kind of controversial with how you had to like do all these motions with the, with the nunchuck and the Wiimote. People thought that it was like, recreating the actions or whatever. So yeah, it's not really as bad as people think, but had to get it for the Wii. Moving on to the 64, I got pretty much the essential games you need to get for the 64, minus a few. Star Fox 64, that made me, come on, this is like a one and done deal. I saw this for pretty cheap, had to pick it up. Now this next one, though, I found it in a store, and surprisingly I did not own it at all for the 64, and that's Super Mario 64, complete in box, because it's got the manual, it's got everything in here. The box is in pretty damn good condition. There's a few other ones there. They only had Majora's Mask, they had Paper Mario, and Kirby, Crystal Shards. So, but this one was like, it wasn't the cheapest one of them all, but it was one of those where I was looking at them and I thought about getting one of them, and this one jumped out at me from a collecting standpoint. This one was probably in the best condition box-wise, and once I asked to see it, and he opened it up here, and then he kind of looked inside, and the cartridge is, I don't know how good you guys can see it, but it's still wrapped in plastic. And if you open it from the other side, you can actually get the cartridge out, and the plastic isn't taped or anything like that, so it definitely could have been open and played, but it's very well taken care of. Very damn good condition, but it is the player's choice, million seller, so it is the re-release, it's not the original box. But just to have it as a showpiece, and to have this game, if at all, for the 64, which you need. It's very good to have this. Very good to have it in box. Very happy to have that. And I'm not going to turn into some collector that needs to have a box for every single game they own. I don't really need it for Star Fox. If I come across it cheap, very cheap, I'm not going to overpay for anything like that. But if I find it and it's a good enough condition, and I don't already own it, I'll definitely probably pick it up.
Not too bad. Could have used more Metal Gear. Wish I could hear the music in the background more too. These guards are still walking around looking for me. It's a good thing I found this box. Guess I got time for another one. Might as well see what's in store for February 2015.
Hey guys, Brando here again with my February pickups. I got a lot of games and not a lot of time, so let's just get right down into it. I'm going to start off with my favorite system to collect for, the PS1. I finally have over 100 PS1 games, and a couple of these pushed me over the limit here. A couple of these I got on my game hunt. A couple of these I got from Goodwill. I found the first two here at Goodwill. It is not a very good game, but I wanted to have it anyway. Sometimes collecting bad games can be just as fun as collecting good games, because you can sit down with your friends and kind of laugh at them and whatnot. But I got Independence Day on the PS1. Now, I don't know if this ever came in like a big box form at all, but I did find this, and it was really cheap at Goodwill. This one, I absolutely love Tetris, so I got Tetris Plus. So there's that. Always cool to have another Tetris. Of course, I had to pick this up because the last video I had a couple Duke items. I found Duke Nukem Time to Kill. A couple bucks again with this as well. This game didn't age as well as I remembered, but whatever. The game I never played before back in the day, Gundam Battle Assault. This is basically kind of like a fighter, kind of like a Street Fighter Gundam game. And the odd thing is, it actually doesn't have a book. It has just a printed label, which doesn't look too bad really on the camera thing. But got that right there. But it's not too bad. I actually did find the second one that same day, but didn't pick that one up. I got Twisted Metal 4, which I used to love the Twisted Metal series back in the day. 2 is my favorite, followed by Black. This one allows you to create your own characters. Sweet Tooth kind of like takes over the tournament, which the powers like the ring. I don't remember that from the other one. But this one also did not age very well for me. I could still go back and play 2, but this one it feels very tight and not very well with maneuverability. But you know what? I have it just so I can have all the Twisted Metals. And then this last one, I got Grand Theft Auto. I picked up Grand Theft Auto 2 in January, so I found the first one. Had to pick that up just to have the complete set. I'm missing the London one though, so I guess I don't have a complete set with that. So the last two on the PS1 are ones I've actually been looking for a while, and these are Lunar 1 and Lunar 2. And I have been looking for these complete for a while, and honestly, they're in pretty damn good condition for what I paid for them. Working Designs brought these games over to the PS1. Of course, these were originally on the Sega CD. And they just went all out on their packaging and everything. You get so much with these. You get the game soundtrack, making of. The manual's like a hardcover book with like a bookmark. And you get little map markers. I actually don't have every single thing for Lunar 2, which it was kind of sucks. Some of the map markers are missing. So not everything is complete with Lunar 2, but I have the games in almost near complete condition. And I'm very happy about that. I actually have the remake of the first Lunar for the PSP. And I don't have a Sega CD, otherwise I would try to track down the original ones as well. But Lunar 1 and 2, guys. Really cool pickup for that. Next, for the PS2, a couple games. I got these first 3 at Goodwill. ATV Off-Road Fury 1 and 2, which I remember playing the first one back in the day. I never did play the second one. There's a few more of these as well, but I'm not too concerned about getting a complete set or anything. And then Ed and Eddie the Misadventures. I used to love this show on Cartoon Network. Really fun. I didn't even know they made a game. I think it came out like 2005 or something like that, so I wasn't really paying attention to like the cartoon games or anything like that was coming out. I think it came out for multiple systems though. I tried playing it and it's alright. The last 2 here are ones I've been on a real like RPG kick here lately, so I went ahead and picked up Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4 and Nocturne, which I never played either of these back in the day. These came out and I was nowhere near their radar. I think Persona 4 came out in 08 and this came out in 04, so no excuse on this one. This one I had already moved on to the PS3, so I didn't get a chance to play either of these. I did test these out. They're very like anime style based, so you know, pretty cool to find these out in the wild, and I'm looking forward to getting more in the series. My lone PS3 pickup was Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. This is a donation from my buddy Mike, and pretty much he upgraded to PS4 and didn't need this one anymore. This is of course the MMO, and this was the re-release that came out to consoles and also to PC. I don't really play MMOs, so I don't know if I'm actually going to like really check it out. I may, but that's a big maybe. I'm glad to have this. I want to have like a complete Final Fantasy collection, and he said he'd rather have it like collecting dust in my collection than in his. He said he moved on to the PS4 and doesn't need this anymore. So moving on to the Game Boy Advance, I got Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury, which is the 3rd game for the Legacy of Goku series on the Game Boy Advance. They're like action RPGs. You know what? I played the original Legacy of Goku when it first came out, and I had some sort of a draw to it, but I never had a Game Boy Advance. But so I've got this last one now, and if I ever really feel like diving into them, I have them. And it wasn't that expensive. The next one I picked up was Link to the Past 4 Swords. So I love Link to the Past. It's my favorite Zelda, and now I have it on Game Boy Advance. Very happy about that. This next one, my buddy Mike picked up for me because he found it out in the wild. It's Metroid Zero Mission. So basically, this is a remake of the original Metroid from NES into 16-bit, and it's amazing. I cannot recommend this enough if you find this. Moving on to the Super Nintendo, I got a couple of pickups here. I got Super Star Wars, which I have Empire Strikes Back, so I need Return of the Jedi. These games are freaking ridiculous in how hard they are, especially Empire. But, you know, wasn't that expensive, so happy to pick that up. I got Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. My buddy Rob used to play this a lot, and I used to be kind of enamored with it and how kind of different it was. And I'm really excited to kind of getting into it and see what I really feel about it as I dive in. But the last one I got is F-Zero. Pretty much self-explanatory, had to pick up F-Zero. All of these were relatively cheap. Moving on to my other Nintendo finds. A couple of other Goodwill pickups that I got the other games at. Link's Crossbow Training for the Wii and NFL 2K3. Which I loved the 2K football series. I'm not even a big football fan. I'm not even a big sports fan. But I dig the 2K series from back on the Dreamcast when I used to play it with my friends. And when it continued on other consoles, I definitely continued to play them. I think at about 2K5. But this next one I got was also for the GameCube, and it's Twilight Princess. And I used to have this on the Wii, but I actually didn't really like the motion controls. I really wanted to check out the GameCube version, and I like it a ton better. If you have a chance to pick this up for relatively cheap, go ahead and pick it up. I actually paid more than I kind of wanted to pay for it, but I don't really come across this too often in my area, so I went ahead and bought it when I had the money. So this game is pretty awesome on the GameCube, guys. If you don't mind the motion controls, play the Wii version because it's a little bit more common to find, but this one's where it's at for me. I got a couple of original Xbox games here. I got Otogi, Mark of the Demons. I saw this featured on Metal Jesus Rock's Hidden Gems video for the Xbox. Saw it for a couple bucks and picked it up. Also, another Xbox exclusive is Phantom Dust, which I never played, never heard of until the Microsoft E3 announcement that they were bringing this title back. So when I found it in the wild, which I'd never seen before as far as my recollection, I picked it up. The label's a little sun damaged, but it wasn't really that expensive. And I'm always up for getting exclusive titles, especially for the Xbox, because they're normally always pretty good. Well guys, I finally jumped in and I got myself a couple of amiibos. And I'm not really into collecting these things. I don't really hunt them down, but when I saw that these two were coming out, I did go out and I hunted them down, and I only had to go to 3 Walmarts. So it wasn't really that bad. But I got them before, now they're kind of scarce and I haven't seen them since. I got Sonic the Hedgehog and I got Mega Man. And these two, I kind of want to like only collect these for like the kind of the marquee video game characters that they come out with for this series. I may get Mario, Link, maybe a few more, maybe Pikachu or Charizard, something like Pokemon oriented. Maybe if they come out with a Mewtwo, I'd love to kind of pick that one up. But so I knew they was coming out, I tracked them down pretty quickly before they became scarce. So yeah, amiibos. I own some, and I don't even own Smash Brothers. The next thing I picked up was another system, and I never really even thought of picking this up, but I recently picked up some new PS Vita games. And as soon as I started playing the Vita, my wife wanted to play the Vita. So I wanted another way to play some of my JRPGs that I got on the Vita, so I picked up the PS TV. Now, this came with a download for the Lego Movie video game, which I haven't even redeemed yet, but I probably will at some point. It comes with a system, and it comes with a new DualShock 3 controller, which I'm using my DualShock 4 controller because you can actually use the touch pad instead of just clicking the sticks to bring up the little touch thing. So that's pretty cool. And it came with an 8GB memory card. And these at GameStop were like $100. The only reason I even considered it was because my wife really wanted to play the Vita. And you know what? The games on the TV look pretty darn good. You can only tell kind of a difference when you're up close. When you're sitting far back like I do in my recliner, they look amazing. But this has been a godsend for us because now she can play the handheld and play her Rayman, and I can play this and play my RPGs. Now, I picked up some new PS Vita stuff. I'm really getting into the Vita, guys. It's a really good system. If only, I kind of wish they had a few more kind of big titles for it, because I'm almost at a point where I'm pretty happy with the collection I have. But starting off, I picked up Gravity Rush, which was actually, I don't know if it was a launch title or it was a really early title, I do know that. But it's definitely an interesting title. So I picked that up cheap. I picked up Batman Blackgate, which I think this came out on the 3DS first or something like that, and it got ported to some other systems. This is pretty freaking cool. It's kind of like a mixture of like a side-scroller beat 'em up with the kind of Arkham gameplay style. So it wasn't bad. It's kind of like a 2.5D, more like, but really cool. And the game that I've been playing the heck out of is Persona 4 Golden, which is ironic that I also picked up Persona 4 for the PS2. So basically, why I got both of them was I was really wanting to pick this up because I heard nothing but great things about it. And of course, the Persona 5 trailer kind of came out and kind of hyped me up. After seeing the Persona 5 trailer, I wanted to see if I was even going to like this series before I committed to getting excited for Persona 5. And I had a few places more to go, and I hadn't seen this yet, so I came across this first. So I went ahead and bought this almost as a security measure in case I couldn't find this version. And I ended up finding both. And that's cool because now I can have this for collector's purposes along with Nocturne. And I can still have this to kind of play on the go and everything. Man, it's really good. Cannot recommend this one enough. The last one for the Vita, and pretty cool because by the end of the night I was trying to find the best ways to spend my money, trying to get the most out of my buck, and I found this one, and I've been wanting to check this out since I've been seeing some big videos of it on YouTube from the series, and that is Ys Memories of Celceta, yeah. Anyway, I ended up picking this up along with the other Vita stuff because originally it was just a case sitting there, and it said new $20 at GameStop. So I took it up to the front, and he lays this big box on me saying, if you're really into this series, you should check out into getting this. We have this available as well. And I'm like, well, you know, I've only got a few more bucks. Is it any more? He goes, it probably is. And I'm like, well, then I'm not really that interested because I just want to pick up the game and see if I even like the series. And meanwhile, he can't find the copy of the game that goes with the case that I gave him because they have this little like inventory system where they have the little card that comes with the Vita games. That goes to a certain case, to a certain the barcode they have. And it turns out that the case actually went to this version, this big box collector's edition, and it was 20 bucks for everything in here. So I got a bunch of stuff. Comes with like a fold out map, soundtrack, a compass, comes with a 120 page art book, a strategy guide. It's made to look like the main character's like journal and everything. This was an awesome pickup, and I could not believe that I got all that for 20 bucks. Online they're going for a lot more. So if you see this and they have any more at local GameStops, go ahead and pick this up. I tried it out. It's pretty good, guys. And although I'm playing Persona right now, this is next on the list. Now, guys, the last thing on the pickups for today is something that I never thought that I'd see in the wild, because this is actually a repro. We never actually got this physically in America. It came out on a reproduction cart, and that is Mega Man The Wily Wars. Now, I actually had an extra clamshell case, and because it didn't come with one, and I printed out my own label because I found this just cart only. And basically, it is Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 remade for the Sega Genesis in 16-bit, and this only physically came out in Europe. We got it on the Sega channel, which was like Sega's sort of like subscription service back for the Sega Genesis. You put your little modem into the Sega Genesis, and you were able to play this game on that. But eventually, they reproed it and brought it over, and I seen it online before, and that really looked cool. I'm a big Mega Man fan, but I found this out in the wild, and I could not believe it. I jumped on this immediately, and I wanted to have a case for it, so I had an extra clamshell laying around for some of my Sega pickups, and I tried printing a label. It doesn't look the absolute best that it could look. Once I get another ink cartridge, I'm gonna try it again and see if I can't get the dimensions just right. But for now, it'll work, and it'll really look good on the shelf. This game is amazing, guys. Check it out if you can.
Snake here again. Where's my amiibo? I was in a Smash game too, damn it. Also, where's Meryl? Been looking all over for her. Ah well, I got myself tucked over in this corner waiting for her to come around. Might as well check out another video. This one is March of 2015. Alright.
What's up, guys? Brando here again with my March pickups, and I've got about 30 games across 9 systems, so I'm just going to quit yapping and get right down to it. First game I want to show you is actually one that I forgot to include in my last month's pickup video, and that is Resident Evil for the PS3. And basically, I imported this from like Asia, Hong Kong, off of PlayAsia.com, and this game was released in HD on the PS3 and PS4, and I think also on the Xbox 360 and Xbox One as well. And then they actually got a physical copy of the PS3 and the 360 version overseas, and the PS4 one for Japan actually was just a case with a digital code with a soundtrack, but this actually came with the game, and you can actually pick between English and Japanese for both, you know, for the voice translation and everything like that. So, and this is compatible for all PS3s because PS3 is region free, so all you gotta do is pop it in and you're good to go. The label is actually reversible, so you can actually have it say Biohazard or Resident Evil, and it came with 2 manuals, which games really don't come with manuals anymore, so that really surprised me. But you know, I love Resident Evil. I have it across multiple platforms. I almost have every single iteration of it, so I was really happy to add this, and I'm really ashamed of myself for sort of forgetting about it on the last video. I'll just go ahead and stick with the PS3 ones because I picked up Journey. This also comes with Flower and Flow, and basically I just found this at my local Walmart and picked it up for like 15 bucks because Journey has been really recommended to me. This has like a reversible cover, which I kind of did because I really like how it's just very simplistic, yeah, although some people might not like how it doesn't say PlayStation or anything like that on there, but you know, I really like how it's just very kind of, you know, simplistic with its design and everything. But it's kind of cool how you get like, you know, 3 games in one, and basically games that were kind of like download only, and then they put them out in a physical copy. So I had to pick it up. The next one I got for the PS3 is Infamous, and I got this on like the really cheap side, and I've actually played this. I got Infamous back when it was a consolation prize for when the PSN went down. I do believe in 2011, I want to say, but I played it before that. My buddy Rob got it, and I was playing through it. I didn't get all the way through it and beat it, but I actually did get Second Son, and way before I actually beat this one, but I went ahead and got this. I need to get the second one as well. The last PS3 game I got is a nice little gem called Valkyria Chronicles, and this is made by Sega. And the really cool thing about this is it's kind of like a third-person shooter strategy game. And I remember seeing this game mentioned on the Metal Jesus Rocks channel, and I absolutely like the look of it, very anime style. And I saw it and just picked it up. And it plays very well. It's really neat and how they incorporate the strategy and everything, and pretty deep. Moving on to the PS2, I got 2 games on my PS2, and I got Dark Cloud 2 and Dragon Quest 8. And of course, I'll start with Dark Cloud 2. I bought Dark Cloud 1 back in October, and I remember playing that one a little bit. I rented it from like a Blockbuster or from like Family Video or something, but I never got a chance to play 2, and I haven't really come across this at all ever since I started collecting, or even before I started collecting. I didn't see this one too often. But my story on Dragon Quest, I remember when this game came out, I'd never played a Dragon Quest game before, and I liked how it had the Akira Toriyama pretty characters, and so I was looking forward to the next big thing for RPGs. So for this, I was almost kind of let down because it's such a low-key start and everything. But I remember when I bought it, the guy at GameStop convinced me to buy the guide because they were having a sale. If you bought this and the guide, you got like $10 off the guide or something like that. And I caved in and I bought the guide. And eventually I did sell this game because I ended up selling a lot of my games to get other games. And I don't do that anymore unless it's a dupe. But basically, I ended up selling this, and I still had the guide, and I was going through a bunch of stuff, and I found the guide, and I'm like, and I kind of remembered I need to get that game back. I want to give that game another chance, and thankfully I was able to find it in really good condition, and it also comes with the FF12 demo, which is the version I had as well from launch. So I'm glad I got this back, and it's a great addition to the collection, and it's something I used to own. Next, I'll go on to the Nintendo stuff that I got. I ended up getting Final Fantasy IV Advance Loose Cart, which, if you guys remember from one of my first pickup videos, I actually have this complete in box sealed, and I wanted to play it, but I also didn't want to open the box. And I finally came across it in Loose Cart, so I had to pick it up. Great game. I love FF4. For the DS, this game had been on my list for a while, and I just hadn't seen it around. And that's Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, essentially Sonic RPG. This is made by BioWare, which is pretty awesome. I love BioWare. And I've been looking for this for a little while. I hadn't seen it, and I went to a store that I don't frequent too often and found it. And so, and of course, like this, and also Valkyria Chronicles, as soon as I bought them, I see them in my local stores that I frequent. So, go figure, right? The last 2 DS games, I actually already had these games, but Mike hooked me up with the case for Chrono Trigger, and I want to thank him so much for this. Chrono Trigger is like my second favorite game of all time, and I have the original Super Nintendo complete in box. I have the PS1, and I had the DS just cart only, and he bought it complete in box, and I actually printed out like a label on like a case and everything, and it looked okay. And he goes, "Dude, just swap me. All I want is the case to have it to, like, you know, put the game in." So he hooked me up with this, and I cannot thank him enough for this. This is great. To have this for my number 2 favorite game of all time is just amazing. And speaking of Final Fantasy IV, I got the case for Final Fantasy IV. Again, I just had this loose cart, and I found this on eBay for like $6, $7, something like that. So it was one of those things where I saw it, and I'm like, that's pretty cheap. I want it. I bought it. So FF4 for the case for the DS. So got those complete, and makes me a very happy camper. My only Super Nintendo game that I got this month, Super Mario RPG. And I don't think enough can be said about this game. This was one of the early RPGs that I played that got me into the genre. And I actually never got a chance to fully beat it when I was a kid. It was only much later on emulation that I actually completed the game. But now I got the actual copy. And with this game, it always seemed like when I had the money, it was never around. And when I didn't have the money, it was around. And this game isn't necessarily cheap, so I found it and I just jumped on it and said, "You're coming with me, pal," because I absolutely love this game and I feel like it's worth the penny. GameStop were having some weird little sale. I actually ended up going in there and they had a whole like thing of like GameCube games, but they were like just in sleeves, discs only, and they were 75% off of the sticker price. So for these 3 games, I think I only paid like $5, but I need to get cases for them. I need to get, you know, the labels, whatever. But I went ahead and just picked up Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2. I got Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, and I got Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike, which I had this game back in the day, and I ended up selling it when I sold all my stuff of course, but I had to get it back. You know, all three are great games. I actually played the other two on the PS2, but you know what? For, you know, $5 for all three, I couldn't say no. And for this last one, I actually don't have a case for it either. It came in a cheapo case, and I've just been keeping it with these. But that's Star Fox Adventures. And one thing that really surprised me, I never got to play this back in the day. This is always one that I wanted to play because it was a little bit different, but this is made by Rare. And this was like one of the last games released by Rare before they got bought by Microsoft. So, you know, really cool find for this because I got it on a pretty cheap price as well. Moving on to my 360 pickups, I only got 3 this month. I went ahead and I finally found a copy of Vanquish, which is of course made by Platinum and published by Sega. I've been on a real kick lately trying to find some Sega games that were made after they, you know, shut down and just focused on software. But this game is really cool. I really like this. I really dug it. I saw some videos on it. I actually kind of wanted to get it for the PS3, but I ended up finding it on a really good price for the 360. This one was dirt cheap on the 360, and that's Front Mission Evolved. And I remember Front Mission, you know, that old kind of tactical RPG, and this is not it. They kind of turned it into like a third-person shooter, and it's okay. I don't think it's anything too great for being what it is. Then again, I need to maybe complete it and see kind of what I feel about it. But based on just the gameplay that I played, the early part of the game looked really cool and I liked the way it controlled. But when I went into the actual levels, I thought it was a little lackluster. But we'll have to see how this one pans out. The last one for the 360, again, I like getting these weird kind of RPGs on the 360 because it just doesn't seem like that's what the system is known for. But there's plenty on them. And then I got Star Ocean, The Last Hope, and this is the last Star Ocean that I really needed for the US collection because I have a copy of every single one in some form. I don't have every version, but I've got the first remake. I've got the remake one for the PSP, and then I've got the second one for PS1, third one for PS2, and then finally I got this on the 360. So, you know, I'm very happy. I like the Star Ocean series, so very happy to have this one and to just kind of complete that run. So, pretty happy about that. Moving on to the PSP, I ended up picking up 4 PSP games, all brand new on Amazon because they're pretty freaking cheap. Starting off, I got Mega Man Powered Up, which is the remake of the original Mega Man. And it's kind of cutesy and whatnot, and I love it though. It's just so Mega Man. If you're just getting into Mega Man and want to ease your way into it, this one actually has an easy mode to kind of do that. Also, they have a mode that kind of feels more like old school Mega Man. But they don't really change the graphics for that. But they did change like the screen size, which I thought was weird. But another Mega Man game I bought was Maverick Hunter X, which is a remake of Mega Man X. And basically, it's Mega Man X with some added scenes, more dialogue, and, you know, better graphics. So I love Mega Man X, so I gotta have that. Now, I've been on a really big FF4 kick, and I just so happened this month to and it all started with this one, by the way. But I got Final Fantasy IV, the complete collection on the PSP. This one also comes with Final Fantasy IV, The After Years. When I saw this and it wasn't that much on Amazon, I went ahead and just picked it up because I love FF4. This is a really good version of the game to have. And right now, all I need is the original Final Fantasy II cart for Super Nintendo to have them all. So I couldn't say no to that. The last one I got is a game that I used to have on digital on the old PSP Go. That was Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. I went ahead and picked this up, and cool thing about this particular copy I have is that on the back it's like translated into like Spanish or something. So maybe this is like one that was like from south of the border somewhere. Like it's kind of like how when you buy games up in Canada, you'll get one that's the ones that have like English and French. This has English and Spanish, so you know, kind of interesting how you find these different variants of this out in the wild, and how each game can just kind of come into your hands, and they all have their own stories. So pretty cool about that. I love the PSP. I love collecting for it. Finally, I'm going to end it with my PS1 section. My PS1 collection is probably my pride and joy. I have the most games for that than any other system. And starting it off, I got the big box for Destruction Derby, and it's kind of the cardboard box. It's got a few frayed around the edges, but I'm cool with that. It's just, I like kind of getting these big boxes to make them stand out and everything. But for the other ones, I ended up getting Cool Borders 3. This one cost $1. Good old Cool Borders, pretty much, kind of fun. I ended up getting like, 2 and 4 randomly, so I ended up finding 3 for $1, so went ahead and get that to try and complete that. And I got Hot Shots Golf 2. This one was pretty cheap as well. I remember playing the original Hot Shots Golf on a demo. I never owned these games, but they're pretty cool and kind of quirky. I got Twisted Metal, which a friend of mine, Ray, gave this to me along with a few other things, but he actually didn't have the cover or the manual for it. I just kind of printed my own out, and the colors don't match exactly. It doesn't look great, but you know what? When you just have it on the shelf like that and pull it out to play the game, it doesn't look too bad. Hopefully, maybe I can track down a manual, or maybe I can get a better thing printed. But I got Jet Moto 3, and basically this completes Jet Motos. I got them all now, which I never actually played this one. I don't think. I know I played the first and second one back in the day when I was a kid, but I went ahead and found this, and man, as soon as I saw it, I picked it right up because I knew I wanted to complete that. This one is really neat because I haven't seen this game in years, and I played it on a demo disc that I got with my PS1. And that's Jersey Devil, and this was a Sony exclusive, and this is one of those old platformers from back then where they all kind of felt the same, and every single one of them you had to collect the letters or whatever things you had to do to unlock doors or anything like that. But this kind of plays the same way. But for the PS1, this is a really good one to have because a lot of those games, like your Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong and all stuff like that, that was stuff on the N64, and the PS1 only had a few, like Spyro or something like that. And this one's right up there with it, I feel. Jersey Devils just gets overlooked. The last one I got is Final Fantasy Tactics. And this is one, I have the remake for it on the PSP, but again, I'm this far in, I might as well go a little bit further. This now completes my Final Fantasy collection on the PS1. So I found it and just picked it up right away because I really wanted that collection complete. It is Green Label, but I really don't care anymore about that. I just want to have the game. I want to have the game. I want to be able to play it. I don't really care about them all having just black labels, so I'm not too particular about that. I know when I first started collecting, I thought about that, and honestly, it's not that big of a deal to me anymore.
Finally, a Metal Gear game. I definitely had to turn up the volume for that one. Anyway, not bad, Brando. Can't wait for the next one. Yeah, thanks everybody for checking out this episode of the Game Addicts podcast. Wait, is that Meryl?
Who's that?
Huh? Damn!